Well, get angry because we start with some breaking news now. ABC News is now confirming what we've been reporting for months here on the show. Way to catch up, ABC News, because our numbers from our sources were telling us that this, in fact, was the case, that yes, 1 million Ukrainian soldiers have now died in this 2.5-year-old war. This is unbelievable that the mainstream media is now acknowledging this. Of course, even President Trump the other day kind of floated a number. I think he said like 400,000. I don't know who was giving him those numbers. 1 million. That to me is a conservative number. I think the numbers that we're hearing here at Redacted are closer to 1.2 million soldiers dead in Ukraine. An entire generation of young men, of middle-aged men wiped out in the country of Ukraine, all because the West has pushed this country into a proxy war against Russia. And you can thank your NATO overlords for all of this, you sons of bitches. Absolutely awful that the entire country has been destroyed because of the whims of the military-industrial complex and these Western leaders. Make peace now, you fools, as our friend Colonel Douglas McGregor likes to say. But they won't. In fact, they're moving in the opposite direction today. This very day, they're doing it. In fact, they struck Russia, Ukraine did, using U.S. ATACMS long-range weapons early this morning, striking deep into the heart of Russia. These are U.S.-made ATACMS, long-range ballistic missiles, and they were directed at the military airfield in Taganrog in southern Russia. Now, they were shot down, according to Russia. They even have like an electronic fencing system that basically just knocked them out of the sky. Hey, maybe we could use those in New Jersey for all of these freaking drones.
Thinking the same thing.
They could just shoot down.
We don't got nothing like that.
We could just shoot down. They could just shoot down and like use this electronic fencing mechanism that just knocks these massive U.S. ATACMS long-range missiles right out of the sky. Yeah, and you want to go to war with Russia, you morons? Like, that's how it's going to go for you if you try to right now. So they were shot down, but Russia says, get ready because we're going to respond, and a NATO country could be next. Remember when Russian President Medvedev, though, recently said that deep state forces would try to kill Trump if he tries to stop the war in Ukraine? I mean, they've multiple assassination attempts against Trump already. Well, Trump today doubled down on his peace plan. So, like, Trump's like, hey, all right, I'm not going to back down from this. I'm calling for an end to World War III, saying we need to do everything we can to stop World War III. The deep state doesn't like that. And the Mockingbird media is already saying, of course, that Trump has to go to war and it will be his to lose. Remember this headline from the other day? Oh, no, this was today. World War III may not be far off. Hello, it's already here. Okay, it may not be far off. It's here. You're literally attacking Russia using U.S. weapons. Israel about to attack nuclear facilities in Iran.
What is Wake that up. Image? He's called for peace.
And no, they show Trump as like
he wants to bite them and he wants a war.
Like friendly Putin, friendly Xi Jinping, and then Trump's in the back like the madman that he is. He's calling for peace.
He's literally called for diplomacy with both leaders.
Here was this headline from The Hill. World War III is now Trump's to lose. That was just before Thanksgiving. I love that. Well, the deep state NATO forces now are doing whatever they can to keep this war going and stopping Trump. And today, NATO's head, Mark Rutte, who destroyed, of course, the Netherlands, by the way.
As Ralph Scholhammer, a friend of the show, says he failed up like most of these globalists did. Right. He literally was voted out of the leadership in the Netherlands, so he was able to fail up into a head NATO.
That's how these people do it, right? So today, NATO's head, Mark Rutte, told Europe to prepare for World War III. He's telling Europe, get ready. We need to have a wartime economy and a wartime defense plan footing. Rutte just this morning said this. Watch.
We can prevent the next big war on NATO territory and preserve our way of life. This requires us all to be faster and fiercer. It is time to shift to a wartime mindset and turbocharge our defense production and defense spending.
Turbocharge it, because it's not turbocharged already? I mean, are you kidding me? Yesterday, the United States Congress approved the National Defense Authorization Act. Massive, massive amounts of military spending. And of course, this is a direct insult to President Trump, who's now talking about, you guys need to pay your fair share. The United States is not going to foot the bill for this. And we need to maybe, and there's definitely people inside the Trump administration that want us to end NATO or leave NATO altogether.
No, he said Europeans need to volunteer their pensions. They're not paying enough for this war. He is in Europe. I guess he doesn't have eyes to see how much the average European is hurting because this war has already tanked their economy. But no, he says Europeans need to shell out more. It needs to become more expensive for them. All right for some, isn't it, to be able to say that?
Speaking of the Netherlands, take a look at these. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, just real quick, like all of the weapons that Europe is sending into Ukraine, like all these European countries, there are, what is he talking about? Prepare for World War III. You're in it. You're contributing. Yes. Like,
right.
You can't call it that yet, though. They're waiting. It's like they're waiting to call it that. Mm-hmm. They're waiting for like the big moment when everything changes. Like they keep playing with fire like this. And there's going to be that tipping point moment, that tipping point explosion that happens. Maybe it's another Nord Stream pipeline destruction or something, some moment that is going to then that label then is put in place permanently, because we're already there. You and I know it. We've all been covering it. We know it. But they'll finally label it that. But take a look at these tweets here. I thought this was perfect. These warmongers need to be arrested, Liberacat says, persecuted and removed from power. All they want to do is spend taxpayer dollars, funnel it to all of their pockets while our people die and suffer from their greed as a result. Enough is enough. And Eva Vardelingerbroek, who is from the Netherlands, of course.
Way to go on that last name.
I nailed it. I think I did
there was an L in there that's not.
I flowed the V and the L together.
Okay.
Vlardinglerbroek. Yeah, there we go. So Eva, she's a great journalist in the Netherlands, and she knows Mark Rutte very well. She says, agreed. Mark Rutte is a disgrace. He ruined our country and is dead set on now ruining the rest of the world, dragging us all into war. He has nothing to lose, nothing to pass on, since he has no kids, no wife, no family. All he cares about is staying in power. Ouch.
I didn't know that. Ouch. Is he a bachelor, really?
No wife, no family. All he cares about is staying in power. Ooh, you should fear those people. Meanwhile, the deep state at the Pentagon is working overtime to undermine Trump with propaganda now about Russia. So this out today in the Associated Press. U.S. is now warning Russia may be ready to use new lethal missiles against Ukraine again in coming days. So, we're just moments away here. Will it be Christmas Day? Who knows at this point? Like all of this, you guys are awake and aware of what they're trying to do to President Trump before he takes office on January 20th. And the Pentagon warned yesterday that Russia could soon launch one of its new intermediate range ballistic missiles, not just the short range missiles, but the new intermediate ones against Ukraine on Wednesday. They warned, claiming the concern stems from a new intelligence report that is not publicly available. So the AP has access to this because, of course, the Associated Press is an extension of the intelligence state in the United States, just like the New York Times and the Washington Post. You want to hand over that information. The intelligence community runs back and forth between those companies. They're just extensions of it. So this new intelligence report is not publicly available, but the Associated Press has it, and they're letting you know ahead of time that this is about to happen. So Russia is about to use massive amounts of long or medium range intermediate missiles into Ukraine, the likes of which we haven't seen before. And Mark Rutte telling Europe, get on a war footing because we're ready. You need to be prepared, and we need to ramp up defense and military spending right now to go up against Russia. Now, the Biden administration is pushing Ukraine as much support as it can before it's trying to leave office, dumping billions of dollars into them as possible before they leave. In fact, the White House just approved another massive multi-billion-dollar loan this week. And today we got word from the Hungarian Prime Minister, Viktor Orban, that he said that he proposed the idea of Ukraine and Russia establishing a Christmas truce, but it was rejected by Ukrainian President Zelensky, a.k.a. the CIA, because Zelensky doesn't do anything without the CIA puppets running the show. He said at the end of the Hungarian EU presidency, we made new efforts for peace. We proposed a Christmas ceasefire and a large-scale prisoner exchange. But Zelensky rejected it and ruled this out today. We did what we could. So all of the chips are laid down right now. We did what we could. We tried for peace. The AP and the intelligence community is warning us that Russia is about to launch a massive attack. All of the pieces are in place now. as they try to completely undermine Trump right before he takes office on January 20th. Let us know your thoughts on that.
Well, a bombshell new report from the Inspector General was just released about the FBI's role in January 6th, and it does, in fact, show that the FBI had informants in the crowd. That is no longer a conspiracy theory. So another point for conspiracy knowers. In fact, on redactedstore.com, we have a t-shirt that says conspiracy knower. One of the things that it lists on the back is January 6th. We're right about that again. Yes, the FBI did, in fact, have informants in the crowd. What did they do? We don't know. This is a report from the Justice Department's Inspector General, Michael Horowitz. It is the government investigating itself. Let's be clear about that. But it says there were not FBI agents. There were informants. Also, they admit that they lied to Congress about it. So if we could just drop that for a second, I want to make this point. How do we know that they're not lying now? This is a report about, this is the government investigating the government saying we lied before. How do we know they're not lying now? How are we supposed to feel about this? At the very least, we know that one conspiracy was true. But what can we trust here? It's upsetting. I'm pissed about it because I've been reading it all morning. Go ahead, Clayton.
Well, I was just going to say, yeah, just to be clear, the Department of Justice, which runs, of course, the FBI, did this report and investigated itself. And in this report, they say, yes, we did lie to Congress. Yes, there were not FBI agents there. There were FBI informants, all of which was lied to in front of Congress, before Congress, under oath by Christopher Wray and others, in front of members of Congress who asked them those very questions. Yeah. Agents, informants, no.
That was all a lie, but this is on the up and up. That's what we're supposed to take away from this. How can we do that in good faith? So, of course, the FBI is allowed to lie to us, the people. Are they allowed to lie to Congress now that they've just admitted it? So let's take a look before we get too riled up and I start screaming at my husband. Sorry, honey, it's not your fault. Okay, I know, but when I get mad, I sometimes yell at Clayton nonsensically.
I'm the low-hanging fruit.
Right.
That's why I always say every man needs a man cave. Okay. A place to go and hide.
So here's how if we could just go back to the first one, the one right before that, here's how they make the distinction between agents and informants. It says, we found no evidence in the materials reviewed or the testimony showing or suggesting that the FBI had undercover employees at the crowd on January 6th. But then it goes on to say, okay, so no employees, but they did have what they call CHSs. What they mean by that is confidential human sources or informants. We can use that word. And what they mean here when they say WHO is the Washington field office. So they determined that there were 26 human sources at January 6th in connection with the events. 4 entered the Capitol. 13 entered restricted areas around the Capitol, which was a secured perimeter. 9 neither entered a restricted area or the Capitol or had any other illegal activity. None of them were prosecuted. That's weird, right? They were doing something that other people have been prosecuted for, but since they're informants, they weren't. It says the Washington field office did not know that a total of 26 of them would be there because only 4 field offices had informed the Washington field office or FBI headquarters that they had these relevant people there. So they had informants that happened to be there. A few of them did give them some warnings about possible violence. A few of them, they say, were from the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys. What were their specific roles? So if you're a January 6th defendant's lawyer, you're kind of like, well, what did they do? What did they tell you in advance? What were their roles? What evidence did they present? Like, it's more worms, not less, wouldn't you think? Especially if you're someone who's fighting for your life. Now, according to their own sources, why didn't they warn about it? Well, they say here, kind of wasn't really our job to do that, even though they presented evidence to Congress about what they did. They say, we really only have like 3 roles here. Either we investigate threats, we share relevant information with other law enforcement, or we provide tactical assets if someone else asks us. So it's a very much passing the buck, I would say. Let me know if you read it any other way. So what were the roles of these confidential human sources or informants? They're not really clear. Here's how they describe it, but my question is, can they be deputized? What were they, the ones that they knew were coming? It says that they're important, right? It says that they're an important tool for collecting information or investigation or intelligence purposes, and they can play a crucial role in law enforcement, including the FBI's effort to combat crime and protect national security. So how much power do you think these confidential human sources have? This is something I'd like to ask an expert about, and I've invited FBI whistleblower Stephen Friend, who's been raising the red flag about how the FBI handled January 6th investigations. So he's going to come on next Monday and let us know, how powerful are these informants? What do we get from this? Now, they say that they were asked by Congress if they had passed on intel about January 6th, and they originally said they did, but that was a lie. Here they are in this screen admitting as such, saying we did, in fact, identify documents that Congress had asked us about our assessment of January 6th, and we gave them these documents. But as described above, the FBI did not direct their field offices for their their informants. So those things were not true. Not true, they said. They later say we presented some briefing documents for briefing Congress, and those were full of inaccuracies. What's another word, Clayton, for inaccuracies?
A lie?
Yeah. So,
yeah.
Okay. Who did that? Who... you see what I'm saying here? Okay, so they're saying we told Congress that we had prepped for January 6th. Now we investigated ourselves. We actually didn't. We didn't do that much. We had people there, but we didn't warn anybody. We kind of sat on our hands. That was a lie before. This is not. That cooks up kind of funky, right? It doesn't smell good when you cook that in a pot. So I'm very... Again, I don't know how many times to say I'm upset about it, but I'm upset about it because we haven't been told the truth, and we can't tell if we are now. Now, we know that the FBI labeled these January 6th participants as terrorists. We learned that from the whistleblowing of Steve Friend. He was on the show last week, and he said that the FBI has been violating the civil rights of these people, and that's what he has been yelling about since he was forced out as an agent. Watch.
Specifically to the January 6th cases, the FBI departed from its practices for how it manages cases, and it was doing it to manipulate the crime statistics, the terrorist statistics, to create the false impression that terrorists are all around the country. And look, away from the politics of it, if there is a righteous prosecution that needs to happen, we need to be buttoned up, and the FBI, in my experience, was not following those protocols, was not handing that information over to the defense as they are supposed to do in following with due process. If I departed from rules for evidence tape, let's say, and I used the wrong color, I would have to document that and hand it over to the defense so that they could ask me, well, Agent Friend, you messed up on the color of the evidence tape. Did you potentially mess up somewhere else? That is all part of the process, and the FBI didn't do that. So I voiced that concern, and obviously the FBI disagreed with my sentiments on that. Look, I swore my oath. I was serious about it. I got training by going to the Holocaust Memorial and going to the MLK Memorial and learning that just following orders is never appropriate. So I brought those concerns forward. And on top of that, the final concern that I had was the safety issue. The FBI was sending SWAT teams to arrest individuals who had been interviewed, who had expressed to them that they would cooperate fully. And then because of the unique nature that they were approaching January 6th, they weren't recontacted for a year and a half. And then it was decided we're sending a SWAT team to arrest someone with no expectation that we were coming to his door. And to me, being a guy who did SWAT for 5 years, that was an unnecessary use of that tool.
Okay, so I think the government wants us to just read this and be like, okay, no FBI agents, informants, but they didn't do anything. So that's fine. This is a done deal. We're good with this. I don't think that that's enough. I think we should still continue to ask for answers such as what role did those informants play this is not specific enough. Defense lawyers will want to know who were these sources. Obviously you can't reveal your sources, but what role did they play? Did they have evidence that they handed over that was kept from the plaintiff or the defendants? Who directed the FBI to lie to Congress, if that's in fact true?
Yeah.
Or are we supposed to just say, oh, well, the FBI kind of sat on its hands and did a crap job?
Well, I want to know
they'll do better
these
next
informants,
time.
like, who directed them? What was the directive? How did they meet? Who, the emails, the text messages? What were you told to do on that day? Were you told to become a rabble rouser and incite us in a quote unquote insurrection?
Right.
Were you told to ramp people up and like, let's go to the Capitol, let's smash the building, let's smash the windows, let's go. Was that part of the plan? Mm-hmm. I'd love to see those text messages and emails now that we know that they've told us about 26 of these informants, these FBI informants. Right? That's the only ones they've told us about. I mean, how many dozens more is it? Over 50? Over 75?
Yeah.
What's the real number of these informants? And what were they told? And by whom were they told it? Were they given directives? Were they given emails? Did they have a meeting in the few days beforehand directing them to take them there? What road would you take? All of that I want to know.
Yeah. And is there any evidence of entrapment that could help a January 6th defendant? That's also something I would want to know if I were their lawyers. If the FBI now, if you're a defendant and we have evidence that the FBI lied to Congress and had some kind of warning before, then how does that match up with their case against you? I want more answers. This is not the end by any means, this investigation. So don't let anybody tell you that it is. And again, I want help from more experts to look this over. So join us next week when we have Stephen Friend and others to let us know what they think of this. Big changes on the horizon, obviously, in the American healthcare system. Trump back in office, RFK Jr. taking over healthcare industries in the United States. Get ready for a shakeup, and RFK Jr., not FDR Jr. RFK Jr. even posted that the FDA's war on public health is about to end, and also their suppression on therapeutic drugs that we know have been shown to work on certain viruses, such as ivermectin and other essential vitamins. Well, the wellness company is ahead of that game. They're on that with their emergency kit, which is stocked with these limited access medications. So these kits cut through the red tape, especially during the holidays when getting sick during travel is, of course, the norm. So be prepared with over 30 illnesses without having to get an emergency prescription or going to urgent care. You can have it in your home if you have this kit. They have drugs like ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine, a Z-Pak, amoxicillin, things that you may need that you need it, right? And you don't want to go through the red tape. Well, you can have it in your house with a guidebook as to how to safely use it. They can treat common things like UTIs, strep throat, bacterial infections. So right now you can use the promo code Redacted. Go to twc.health/redacted and you'll save $30 at checkout, plus get free shipping. So one more time, that's twc.health/redacted and use the code Redacted and get $30 at checkout.
Well, the mainstream media is at it once again, creating fake news and propaganda in order to get us involved in wars or to try to rename and rebrand Al-Qaeda in Syria, right? To show that they are the saviors of Syria. So do you guys know who Clarissa Ward is? Let me just describe Clarissa Ward from CNN, okay? Now, this is how Max Blumenthal at the Gray Zone describes her. Clarissa Ward, the news actress who once faked being under direct fire by Hamas and who has spent over a decade shamelessly propagandizing for the jihadists now executing minorities in Syria, just happened upon the last prisoner. The last prisoner who happened to be sleeping under a blanket in a prison, by the way, that was cleared out 3 days beforehand. Totally emptied 3 days beforehand. But CNN manages to sneak into this prison and manages to somehow, looking through, oh my God, is that somebody under a blanket over there? Is that a prisoner that we can then get on camera and come out and put on this whole propaganda piece for? Well, this piece that you're about to watch here is being called total propaganda. It's being debunked by a number of individuals who, by the way, were in prisons in Syria and describe this individual as a total liar. So we're going to play the news piece here and watch as he comes out after being in darkness for months at a time, not seeing daylight for months at a time, comes out into the sunlight and looks straight into the sun with perfectly manicured fingernails, by the way, because that's what prisoners have, perfectly manicured fingernails, shaved beard, and also a full face because he looks like he's had food. He's had a lot of food recently. So watch this and see if this CNN video passes the smell test. Watch.
I can't tell though. It might just be a blanket, but it's the only cell that's locked. Is he gonna shoot it?
The guard makes us turn the camera off while he shoots the lock off the cell door.
But we didn't do that.
To get a closer look.
What was that thing? Is that just a blanket laying there?
There is something under the blanket.
Oh, it moved. Is there
Oh
someone
my God,
there?
it's moving. There's someone there. There's someone there.
Is someone there? Or is it just a blanket? I don't know.
We don't know.
Hello?
Maybe it's a rabid dog.
Oh my God, what is it? Let's check it out and see. Go ahead, CNN. Oh my God. It's okay. We're just journalists. We're with CNN.
I'm a civilian. He tells the fighter he's from the city of Humps and has been in the cell for 3 months.
Okay, you're okay.
3 months.
You're okay. You're okay.
3 months. You're okay now.
You're okay.
You're okay. You
Don't be afraid, it's a white woman.
Arm tightly with both hands.
Okay. Does anyone have any water? Water.
CNN saved this man's life.
My. Okay, it's water. It's water.
Oh, it's water. Yeah, I haven't had water in 3 months. And I haven't seen daylight in 3 months. You're okay now. Clarissa, you are a hero for your amazing... All right. So then they go outside. They go outside and, the report continues on and he looks up into the sun for the first time and he hasn't seen daylight in 3 months. He's been in a dark cell apparently. And he looks right up at the sun because your eyes would be fine in that situation.
Are CNN just unaware that the internet exists? That people are, if they put that out, people are going to see it and scrutinize it. Like how are they unaware that people watch what they that looked awful.
Maybe they just assume that we don't.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, how propaganda... See, this is why the CIA is so nervous these days, right? When, the CIA works very closely with CNN and these intelligence and these media organizations so closely, and they feed them this information, like, you may want to go check on this prison because we hear it's been cleared out. It might be a good story there for you. You might want to go and check that out if you
Maybe
know what I
one
mean.
guy didn't get out and is waiting for you.
Maybe there might just be someone there that might want to be TV friendly. We've even cleaned him up. We've even shaved him. But they think people are stupid. And so many people are going to watch that report. They're going to be like, oh my God, thank God Al-Qaeda is now in charge of Syria. They rescued these poor people from the dictator Assad. They got him out of there. I'd like to know more about this guy, by the way. I'm sure we'll find out. By the way, this is the same Clarissa Ward, by the way, who you'll recall from this famous CNN report where she pretended to be under fire from Hamas, which was like laughingly debunked. And she jumped down on the ground to hide from incoming Hamas missile attacks. But it was actually Israel doing the bombing. But nevertheless, don't let that get in the way of your propaganda, CNN.
Clarissa is on the ground right now. Clarissa, tell us what's happening.
Stand by.
I'm almost dead.
Hi, John. So forgive me, I have a slightly unelegant position, but we have just had a massive barrage of rockets coming in here, not too far from us. So we have had to take shelter here by the roadside. We're just about 5 minutes away. Gaza is in that direction. We can hear now a lot of jets in the sky. We could also hear the Iron Dome intercepting a number of those rockets as they were.
Yeah, Clarissa, thanks. So that's your same CNN journalist there. I am curious who at CNN is like allowing these pieces to just get on the air. They're taking Clarissa Ward's like word, right? She's an amazing reporter. So whatever she says, or she films something, you just put it on the TV. We don't need any
Which
sort of
news anchor said they were under fire and they weren't and got fired? Brian Williams.
Brian Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah, from NBC News.
That literally cost him the anchor job.
Yeah, exactly.
So
relegated him to MSNBC at like 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
You know, that's how it ended his career at NBC News. But you can make up fake stuff on CNN all the time. No one's falling for your propaganda, though, this time.
I'm feeling a little fake because I'm wearing bed slippers under this. So
well, it is cold on your feet.
You know, like if that's what we're doing, we're admitting
that's a little
things.
Different.
Okay.
That's a little different.
Just don't want to be outed for that. Okay.
If you suffer from daily pain, I need you to listen to this message very carefully. What we know about pain relief is changing forever. As we age, aches and pains are normal, and we're all searching for effective ways to relieve pain without side effects and addiction. Let's be frank, we've all seen the horrors of the opioid crisis. You may even be affected personally. Your family might know someone that has been affected by this. That's where a pioneering medical scientist comes in, Clint Winters. You may have seen the world-renowned health expert featured in the national media. He's unveiled a natural pain reliever that has taken the world by storm. And I'm talking about Canoladine, the 100% drug-free way to get full-body pain relief without dangerous pills. As you read this right now, Canoladine has become the go-to pain reliever for over 1 million Americans, hundreds of professional athletes. It was even named as the UFC's #1 official pain reliever for the UFC. Right now, you guys can try it. Go to trycano.com/redacted, and you're going to get it for less than $1 per day. You can access the only Canoladine product in the world for less than $1 per day. Clint has provided this special link for you guys. You can guys get this special discount. Just go to trycano.com/redacted. I see a bunch of people in the chat who've already ordered this. Give it a shot. If you suffer from chronic pain, you don't want to have that addiction from drugs, try kano.com/redacted, the 100% drug-free Canoladine. Try it for less than $1 a day.
Well, the media is trying to make good now that the Biden years are ending, and I'm not feeling very forgiving. Are you? Also, here's my concern. I don't want them to overcorrect and then be effusive about the Trump administration and then we miss things. We don't want that. We wanted fairness all along. I can't even believe I'm seeing this because they have been lying for years now. About Russiagate, COVID, the vaccine, Hunter Biden. They were lying about the war we just showed you in Gaza, in Russia, in Syria. They refused to tell the truth about the Biden administration in order to help Kamala Harris get elected. And now when that didn't work, they're trying to turn it around amazingly. And I say, nope. I say no to this. I'm not having it. Look at this Time magazine cover of President-elect Trump as Person of the Year. And honestly, I can't believe I'm seeing this. In a video about this, a Time correspondent says that he was quite obviously the only choice.
In the history of the magazine, Time has nearly always named the person who wins the presidential election Person of the Year. But in this case, it was quite obviously the only choice. I am Eric Cortellessa. I'm a national political correspondent at Time magazine, and I've spent the last year covering Donald Trump's campaign for the White House. Donald Trump has singularly reshaped American politics and has transformed this country through his force of will, his ability to surmount obstacles that nobody thought he could, and for what he has revealed about the desires of the American electorate.
Okay, so that seemed a little begrudging to me, but at least it was on tone with exactly how Donald Trump has been able to gain influence in the United States politics. They acknowledge his influence, the success of his campaign, and they allow him to look not unattractive. So you're used to him looking kind of dehydrated and orange and maybe chubby and grumpy. They do these unflattering close-ups from his, under his chin. And now look how they allowed him to pose for this. And liberals are understandably upset to see him this way when they've been conditioned to see him as so terrifying and grotesque. Look at this liberal that I like to follow because she is always upset about things. She says, "Are you effing kidding me with this? And it doesn't even look like him. What the F time?" Well, yeah, because she's not used to him getting accolades. She's confused that he looks like a person and not the person that she's been conditioned to hate. Like in this 2016 cover, just before he was elected, this is how they've been telling us to perceive of him. Now, in the article, the Person of the Year article, Time flat out reports that Trump had in 2016. This article is full of inaccuracies, but they didn't care. Now, in the article today, they describe him as bonhomie, as in genial and friendly. Can you imagine? Look at that word. I was like, really? They're calling him this? And it's still not an accurate article, though. They say that he left office in 2020 in disgrace for trying to overturn the election, which lacks the nuance of what actually happened. Says that he wanted a federal abortion ban, but his campaign talked him out of it, but they don't source that. But for all of that, it is noticeably less fear-mongering about Trump. A lot of doubt about whether he can fulfill his big campaign promises. We all feel that, right? Afraid that we may not get what he has promised. But, they could have done this all along and chose not to. And so all of a sudden they're waking up to the reasons that people may have voted him in. And it feels so disingenuous to me. This is another thing that also set me off today. This New York Times headline, waking up to the fact recent immigration surge has been largest in history. Under President Biden, more than 2 million immigrants have entered illegally. It doesn't say that. That's me saying that, illegally. But what it does say is that the rate of immigration has been a faster pace of arrivals than any other period on record, including the peak years of Ellis Island, when millions of Europeans came to the United States. Even after taking into account today's larger U.S. population, the recent surge is the most rapid since at least 1850. Way to catch up. They could have been covering this all along, but they didn't for fear of hurting the Kamala Harris campaign. What demons? And in fact, a reader on this article, sorry, go ahead, Philip.
Oh, I was just gonna say, because if I hadn't just read that headline, I wouldn't have even known that was happening. It's not like I've heard it anywhere else for the past 3 years.
Yeah, thanks, New York Times, for being on top of it.
Yeah.
Well, you say that, right? But the problem is there's an actual comment from a reader on this New York Times post that says, "This is frustrating because I feel that I'm an informed citizen, but I never had a clear idea of what the immigration situation was." This is a sincere New York Times reader saying this is brand new information because the New York Times has kept it from them. The New York Post calls this a betrayal of their readers. I call it willful dishonesty. So we are observing this now. All of a sudden, the media says we can report these things because it won't hurt the Democrats anymore. For now, until 4 years later. Social media also making a mea culpa. There are reports, and in fact, Meta admitted that Mark Zuckerberg has donated $1 million to the Trump inauguration fund in order to brown nose, or what they say is actually improve his historically tense relationship with the incoming administration. He censored the Hunter Biden laptop story to hurt Trump and help President Biden. So no, sir, I don't think you get a good seat at the inauguration, even if you paid $1 million for it. I feel like they need to stand down and apologize for keeping truths from us. I don't want them to overcorrect. I want an apology. You let me know what you want from them. But I'm mad about it.
Well, also, you know, he was at the New York Stock Exchange today. So he was there ringing the bell for the first time from any sitting president since Ronald Reagan to go to the New York Stock Exchange. And you see the markets responding, of course. See like stocks like Tesla, like surging right now. The move away from the Federal Reserve could mean moving towards gold and silver. In fact, I co-authored a report on this, going through all of the details about all of these different commodities on the rise under Trump. You saw him last week basically say say, we're going to let you drill, baby, drill. No regulation. Pull off the shackles of being able to allow companies to drill in these. In fact, we have some Oregon loggers who were just watching our show today saying, Oregon loggers love Redacted. But this is exactly what's about to happen. Gold, silver, back to basics. So I did this whole report. You can download it for free. If you want to understand how this is going to affect gold and silver and other commodities, it's a really good report. So again, I co-authored this. It's free. Go grab it. redacted.inc/Trump. All right, let's do some UFO updates now, because a major update on the UFOs over America over the past 24 hours. And we had this report from the New Jersey State Police now admitting that they have revealed that unidentified drones are operating on a frequency that cannot be detected. Okay, we can't detect the frequency? We don't know, admits the New Jersey State Police. We don't know what these things are. New Jersey Representative Jeff Van Drew now is doubling down on the same claim that he made yesterday, which we brought to you yesterday here on the show, that these mysterious drones are coming from an Iranian mothership off the east coast of the United States. And he slammed Pentagon officials for it at the time for treating the American people like they're stupid and withholding information about these drones. This is what he said this morning. Watch.
These drones very well could be launched from a ship. It could be hundreds of miles out at sea. These types of drones go much greater distances. These, again, are something that we normally don't see in the United States. So there is a real possibility. Could it be China? Absolutely. Could it be somebody else? It sure could. Here's the deal. They don't know what it is. They don't know what it's about. They haven't taken one down to analyze it. They have no idea where it comes from, but they know that it's not that. I mean, that's nonsense. They do not know what they're doing. Why don't they take one of them down, analyze it, and let us know what's really happening? I hope they know more than they're telling us, but that's disrespectful to the public and to Congress. It's about time they leveled with the truth. Hopefully they'll give us some information this afternoon. But even if they do, it's like a month too late. This reminds me of the spy balloon. Last year, traveled the whole country.
Yeah,
wait. Yesterday he said if it was our own government, they'd have told us.
Yeah.
He literally said that yesterday.
He's all over the place with this, but he is doubling down on the fact that these are coming from an Iranian mothership. So he's doubling down on that, but now he wants answers from the government, and he hopes that they'll tell us the truth about it today, I guess. Like we'll suddenly get answers on this. But he's right about one thing on this, which is that it's been about a month now. I mean, November 18th is when these things were first spotted. And they're showing up in massive numbers, staying up in the air for 6-7 hours at a time, even longer in some reports. And where are they going back to? We don't know. We don't have any idea. Marjorie Taylor Greene is calling BS on all of this. She says this idea that the Pentagon or the Defense Department doesn't know where these are coming from is total garbage. She says they absolutely know. She's calling BS. Watch.
Well, number one, I'm going to call it total bullshit that no one knows what these are. And I think it's a slap in the face to the American people to say they don't know what this is. They can track down a guy that just killed a CEO, but they can't identify what nightly drones are and where they're coming from. I think that is absolutely disgusting to lie to the American people like this, and the truth needs to be told about it. Secondly, if they're telling the truth, then this country is in horrible shape. We're all in danger. I mean, seriously, if our great government can't identify what these drones are, they're flying every single night, that people are sitting out there videoing with their cell phones, then no American is safe. And I have no respect if our government cannot say what these are.
So if we don't know who they are.
Yes,
right?
hallelujah to her. So the Belleville mayor of New Jersey also just spoke out this afternoon saying that they were just briefed. 500 different mayors were briefed on this, and all sorts of unanswered questions that he says here in this interview. Watch.
New Jersey has some of the best detection equipment in the nation, I am told. We have by far the most robust equipment, is what the state police told us. The detection equipment is up, but not detecting. These are 6-foot drones that are somehow evading our detection. They are not being detected. Here's some unknowns.
Sorry. You can keep playing it. Sorry.
And again, they were very transparent today. So some of the unknowns. The state police says, unknowns. We have no idea where they're taking off from. No idea. We have no idea where they're landing. No idea at all. We have no idea who's behind them because, as I mentioned, they are not state, and we are told it is not federal. We have no idea the drone types, as I mentioned before. That they stay up about 6 to 7 hours, and if you're a drone operator, you probably know that that's a very, very long time. We know
so
that
that's all we don't know where they're from. We don't know where they're landing. We don't know any of that, right? As Brad Cage writes, a good rule of thumb is if the deep state can't find out who did it, then the deep state are the ones who did it. I love that, Brad. Friend of the show, Ashton Forbes, who's going to be on the show soon here again. We've had an interview with Ashton before, but he's going to be back soon here during the holiday season. But he said it's too bad we don't have some kind of global persistent infrared surveillance system constantly scanning the entire planet. Otherwise, we'd be able to figure out what these drones are and where they're coming from. Oh, wait, we do. SBIR is the space-based infrared system that we have at our disposal. That's exactly what we have already in place to completely scan the United States and the world, for instance, constantly scanning the entire planet. We know exactly where they're coming from. I mean, we can pinpoint and tell you what the movement of trucks in Russia, for crying out loud. We know what underground bunkers are hiding in Iran, for crying out loud. We know exactly where these things are coming from, but we're just not being honest, of course. And then overnight, we got new images, by the way. Look at this helicopter coming in contact with one of these things in the sky. Look at the size of this thing. So in the back, look in the bottom picture here. You can see the helicopter in the background, and there's like massive craft, unlike anything I've ever seen before. Is this some sort of a man-made craft? It looks like it probably is. The Black Book Project craft that we don't know anything about. That's probably exactly what it is. And then in Florida, now not just New Jersey, Florida, in Plantation, Florida, this woman was live streaming last night on Facebook, and she was showing live these orbs in the sky. And then she shows them, they transform into airplanes and then take off. And she's like, for 5 hours and for 5 days in a row, I've been capturing these things. So watch this as these things transform from an orb and then suddenly just shoot off as airplanes. Watch.
Okay, guys, this is real time live streaming. Drones, UAP, UFO, call them whatever you want. This is not normal. And by the way, the FAA clears. There's no airplanes flying right now in the greater Plantation area. Look how it takes flight. That one takes flight in the shape of an airplane. That one takes flight and eventually, well, it's still looking like an orb. Okay, so let's see how big this one gets. I believe this has some kind of technology that it projects some kind of holographic image of an airplane. I know I sound crazy, but I've seen these now for 5 days. 5 days.
So there you go.
Did anybody else think that the emoji hearts were the drones at first?
Yeah,
people pushing them. And I was like, and they're heart-shaped?
People kept pounding the hearts on that.
Okay, I'm not the only gullible one.